session recently which I'd like to share with you. The question is, if we have a formula here which is adding up the total amount of pens, pencils and erasers and notepads for January, which is information that comes from this tab right here, and uses this formula, grabbing cell C10, D10, E10 and F10, how can we make it that if I type in Feb, that it brings in the February data from the February tab? And the answer is using something called the indirect function. So the indirect function is a way of getting things that are inside cells and using them inside of formulas as part of the formula itself. Let's see. Here the issue is that it's always going to pull in the January information unless I go in here and manually change it to something else, or unless I delete it and put in a formula to pull in the correct cell. And I don't want to go to that trouble. So what we want to do is replace this in our formula with the contents of C2. We can't do that by directly referencing C2. We use indirect, open bracket, the cell reference that we want to form part of that formula, and then an AND symbol. Now we can't have this in the cell on its own, exclamation mark C10. We need to have that in quote marks as text, and then close bracket. And when we press enter, you see this formula is pulling in 232, which is the total for January. If we change this to Feb, now it's pulling in 223, the total for February. So we're recreating equals FEB, exclamation mark C10, which is equals tab name, exclamation mark, to separate the tab name and the cell reference, and then the cell reference by using indirect to reference cells and then construct them together in this formula inside of that indirect formula. So doing the same thing here, equals indirect, open bracket, C2 in this case, and symbol, which joins things together, quote marks, because we need to have the rest of that formula, which is going to stay the same, as text to connect up to the rest of the contents of C2, and then close bracket. And if I continue that all the way down, it does what you expect. Which is giving us a nice dynamic bunch of calculations based on what we type in at the top here. 354 pens for December. Very easy to do once you know how. We can really construct any formula, no matter how complex, parts of a VLOOKUP, perhaps links between different files. So you could have a link between worksheets and make the name of the worksheet a variable that is inserted into that link. You're only limited by your imagination at this point. Obviously we have a problem here that if we type in January, we're going to get hash ref errors because there is no tab called January. So, of course, we can make a drop-down menu. And to look at how to make a drop-down menu for this cell, you can follow the instructions in the card up above. So, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you at the next 272.